Welcome to my presentation. My name is Dr. Francheska Starks, and I'm an assistant professor at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, which is in Tennessee, USA. The title of my presentation is VOLTS, Bridging Classrooms and Communities Through Online Tools for Teachers. For today's talk, I'm going to first talk a little bit about the background of my project, including the context, the problem, and the theoretical framework that we worked from. I'll also talk specifically about the VOLTS project and describe to you what that entailed in terms of the methods. I'll share some of the results from our project and then discuss future directions, which include our suggestions for future research. First, for the background. The University of Tennessee is located in the United States of America. We're in the Southeast, which is a fairly politically conservative state, which kind of factors into how our in-service and pre-service educators are oriented towards family and community engagement. In terms of schools, the students are located among three major contexts when they enter schools, and that's this nexus of family, school, and community. And students, we know from previous literature, they operate optimally when goals and missions of the family, the school, and the community overlap. And so it's important that approaches to family and community engagement consider the value that it has for students. Currently, approaches to parental involvement do exist, but they have been very school-centric, which means that they are based on the society's dominant racial and class norms, and they don't really take into account the value that parents bring that do not exist within the majority. And so engagement, the way that it is usually framed, is shaped largely by perceptions of parents' backgrounds and their expected roles as it's determined by administrators and teachers, not as it's determined by the parents themselves. So parents from non-dominant backgrounds are typically disproportionately impacted negatively by this factor. Also, we know that effective family, school, and community partnerships do enhance the academic, social, and emotional development of children. And so that is one of the reasons why we felt like this type of work was important. In terms of the problem, a review of literature tells us that parents and caregivers are often prescribed very constricted roles for involvement. These prescribed roles often marginalize those families and caregivers who cannot engage in ways that correspond to the normative understandings of parenting. And again, this includes non-dominant parents or other caregivers. So there has been a call to expand the notion of involvement. What do we mean when we talk about parental involvement and engagement? We want to think of it broadly, more broadly, in a way that acknowledges and addresses that there are power dynamics between educators and families and caregivers. And we also want to recognize the important differences that exist among the ways that parents and families choose to contribute to their children's education. There are also existing typologies that pose a problem. They do not engage intersections of race, class, and immigration, and these things are very relevant to the experiences of particularly of non-dominant parents. We also want to highlight that the outcomes of efforts to prepare teachers have been included narrow samples of empirically based research, and so there is the opportunity there to broaden what this may look like in the future for future research. Also, colleges of education and teacher preparation programs do not often require courses in family, school, and community engagement partnerships as a part of teacher training. And so while these types of courses may be optional, they're often not required as part of the mandated curriculum for teachers. And then finally, preparing educators to engage families and communities and is one of the most promising ways that we can improve student learning and build equitable schools. In terms of goals for teachers, reviews of literature show that we want to increase teachers' confidence and self-awareness and their ability to use the knowledge that they gain about diverse families to improve their instruction. And so if that is the goal, then we need to provide more opportunities for pre-service educators and also in-service educators to access information that will help them to develop their skills and knowledge about family and community engagement. So the theory rather, that informs our work is ecologies of parental involvement. And this is particularly useful for us because the theory purports that parents are agents who can intervene and advocate for their children. So this theoretical orientation places parents in a place of agency where they do have the interest and the knowledge and the ability to intervene and advocate for their children. Based on this theory, we see parents as productive and engaged members of their school communities, and we challenge traditional explanations of parental involvement that do not see parents as or kind of constrict and restrict parents to specific siloed ways of engaging with their children's schools and their teachers. So now I'll get into the specifics of the VOLTS project, and this is the project that we embarked upon in order to address this gap of needing additional training and support for pre-service educators specifically around family, school, and community engagement. So the VOLTS project stands for VOLTS stands for Volunteer Teacher Spirit. And at the University of Tennessee, the volunteer teacher spirit is deeply embedded in the institution's culture and mission. And what the volunteer spirit reflects is a commitment to service, education, and community engagement. And so the goals for our project, which we named VOLTS after that, the volunteer spirit, is to redesign coursework to center families and communities in the teacher preparation process. So again, we are taking what has previously been a very school-centric view of parental engagement, and we are now centering it around families and communities. We also wanted to support pre-service and in-service educators with developing effective strategies for family and community engagement. In terms of methods, the involved parties included several different faculty pairs along with local community liaisons as well as parental panels. And so for the first module that was included in the project, there were university faculty partners who collaborated with local community children's museum administrators to develop this module. For module 2, there were also different university faculty members that partnered with local community literacy focused outreach programs. And then for module 3, again, there were university faculty that partnered with local school supervisors and other administrative personnel. So for each module, we had a different element or collaboration with different people in the community and others that represented people in the school that were stakeholders, as well as parents and families. In terms of the project development, we had regular weekly or bi-weekly meetings. We held community listening sessions to inform the development of our modules and the redesign based on feedback, as well as a parent and family listening session that gave us insight into what parents and caregivers wanted to see happen in terms of family, school, and community engagement. We took all of this data and we used it to inform how we redesigned the modules based on that feedback. The results of the module development were a publicly available website that we use to host the modules. So they are not only available for pre-service educators, where their teacher educators or instructors can access them via a private platform, but we made them public so that even in-service educators who want to do these modules and work through them kind of either on their own, independently, or maybe in a small group of educators, we made them publicly available for that purpose. We also have begun integrating these modules into teacher education courses, different types of courses such as children's literature, introduction to education seminars, and we now have a specific family and community engagement focused course where these modules are used as well. And now we are beginning to collect data on student experiences as they engage with these modules. And all throughout this process, we are using this information to inform better designing them for the future and designing additional modules as well. So in terms of future directions, several things that we are keeping in mind. One is to expand our website to include additional modules. We would also like to continue integration into additional teacher education courses. And then finally, we'd like to solicit additional family and community engagement opportunities. And so this looks like integrating parents and community members into the content in specific ways where maybe they are guiding pre-service and in-service teachers and serving as leaders in the space, and really providing, again, that parent, community, and caregiver centered type of engagement as opposed to the school centered one that currently exists. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Again, I'm thrilled to be invited to this conference and look forward to listening to the remainder of the presentations. Have a great day.